Born to Build podcast.
Welcome to Born to Build, conversations with the builders, founders, and pioneers driving change from the ground up. My name's Sam, and today we're chatting with Andre Gouws. Andre is the founder and owner of Shorebreak Cafe, which is a coffee shop in Fish Hoek. And I'm so glad to be chatting with you today, Andre. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, thank you, Sam. It's a privilege to be here. It really, really is.
Today is quite a day in Cape Town. It's stormy, it's raining, it's crazy. I hope you're warm enough. I've got my rooibos tea here with me to keep me warm. But hopefully the conversation will warm us up as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Let's start at the before you started Shorebreak Cafe. Tell us a little bit about yourself before that all happened, because I know there's an interesting story how Shorebreak Cafe came about. But before we get there, tell us about yourself before.
So, a resident of Cape Town now for 25 years, going on to 26.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say I'm almost a native. But
I think it counts.
yeah, moved here in 2000 from Johannesburg. Heidi, my wife, and I traveled overseas for a couple of years and did the whole backpacking thing. We had to start over, and we thought there's no ways we want to start over in Joburg. So we chose Fish Hoek, Cape Town, to come and rebuild or restart our South African journey again.
Okay.
So,
amazing.
Yeah, and then ended up in IT as all desperate non-employed people end up in IT sales. Yeah, that was 2000. So I've been in IT ever since.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about the journey. What inspired you to start a business, particularly in hospitality during the COVID-19 pandemic, as far as I've heard? You know, other people were shutting down, or at least, you know, really struggling. What inspired you to start something new?
So it's crazy. Like my dad was a phenomenal cook. He wasn't a chef. He was just a phenomenal cook. And he was always in and around the kitchen, especially on weekends. And he served a lot of people. Our home was pretty much like a central station with people just coming and going. And there was always something on the stove or something in the oven or something on the bright. He just, you know. So I think I was just exposed to that at a very, very young age. And then when I was working in Johannesburg, thought I'd make some extra money and sell boerie rolls outside a supermarket on Saturdays and Sundays, you know, just like messing around for spending money.
Yeah.
So it's always been something I've been interested in. And later in life, coffee became a real thing, you know, and I was always interested in I thought that the one thing that really triggered my mind is I traveled to Amsterdam on business. And I was staying in a little, well, not that little, but a town outside Amsterdam called Amstelveen. And in the mornings, you walk past this baker, and he's just got like this honesty hatch in the wall.
Wow.
And he's got his croissants and his baked goods out there. You can order a coffee from the barista, drop your money in, and just walk away, you know.
Amazing.
But his main shop wasn't open, and I always loved that hole in the wall concept of a bakery. Smell, the owner's there. It's 4:35 in the morning, you know. I just like
beautiful,
very romanticized, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what triggered it, and then I spoke a lot about it. Always looking at opportunities, and then funny enough, I'm very, very involved in the community in Fish Hoek. Especially surf lifesaving and sea kayaking or surf ski, you know, so that kind of stuff. So Canoeing South Africa, CSA, got a special dispensation during COVID lockdown.
Okay.
To allow for paddlers to actually go out onto the water.
Okay. Wow.
We weren't allowed to sit on the beach or anything. We were just allowed to traverse the beach, then get onto the water. Because if you're on the water, you're naturally socially distant because of the length of the paddles and everything. So it's impossible to sort of, anyway, it was all done. But
it was such a crazy time, right? The laws were so strange, and we were living in Germany at the time, so it was very different to, I think, your experience here. But I did feel very sorry for the people making the laws, because they'd never experienced something like this before. Yeah. Suddenly they had to make laws about this stuff.
No, there was no manual. There was no manual.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So then one of my best friends said, well, my parents years ago used to do bacon and egg rolls on a Saturday morning at the Fish Hoek beach. It was then known as the Hobie Club. Mm-hmm. So it's now the Fish Hoek Beach Sports Club.
Yeah. And
the trading for food and that, it wasn't the hard lockdown. It was like you were allowed to serve takeaways. You just weren't allowed to do sit-downs.
Right.
So if you had a hatch, you could serve out and people could take their food and go. So then I said, yeah. And it was also, we were planning a big holiday to J-Bay that year, and her daughter needed money and my son needed money. So the first iteration of the business was called Eggy Excellence. Spelled Eggy, and then Excellence spelled E-G-G, Excellence. Right. So that's what happens when you give it to kids.
Yeah.
You name it. And the logo was like this cartoon egg with a face and a crown.
Amazing.
So, yeah. That's the actual birthplace of it.
They should have just used our faces, because I'm just looking at us on Zoom. And exactly. You got a big bald head. I've got a big bald head. Yeah. We could have been the mascots.
Put a yellow mark here in the front.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it just started, and I just embraced it. It was literally two electric frying pans, one for bacon, one for eggs and rolls. And I used to maybe buy 18 rolls on a Saturday, and there wasn't a coffee offering for Eggy Excellence. So another friend of mine had a friend of his who had a coffee business. Also, it was a bit slow during COVID. So then, like Saturday mornings, we'd set up the kitchen, and then we'd set up a coffee trailer outside the club. And then we would do like a combo, a coffee and a bacon and egg roll for like $45.
Nice.
The paddlers would be coming off the water.
Oh,
freaking,
yeah.
It was so good.
Great.
So, and then I chatted to the guy from the coffee business. His name was Gary. And I said, there's an opportunity here to formalize this thing, because we went on December holidays. The kids lost interest. They went to J-Bay. They spent all their money at the factory shops. They came back. They were, we don't want to work anymore. So, but now we've got a captive audience.
Yeah.
So you sort of, and then organically it just began to grow, and then came up with the name Shorebreak Cafe. It's a bit of a dual meaning from a name point of view, because it's close to the coast. So there's a shore break.
Yeah.
But if you've had a hard day on the water, you can come to us and have a shore break.
Right.
So nice. There's a bit of the little bit of a wordplay there on that. And one of the key founding principles was source local, serve local. Because I love the valley. I really, really love Deep South Fish Hoek, especially.
Yeah.
And there's just so many fascinating people in this area, like literally butchers, bakers, candlestick makers. I mean, they're just all over the place.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And I wanted to just, as far as possible, uplift the community by buying from small local businesses that kept the local economy going. So that was both Gary and I had this ethos when we started.
So you also, you were super hyper local, because you now had paddlers as your first customers, I guess, or the people using those facilities. And How did that grow? Because now you've also got, you've got a trailer sitting in Valleyland as well. You started expanding to other clientele as well. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So because of the paddling club being so water focused,
Mm.
there's a lot of lifesavers at the paddling club and vice versa.
Right.
And they said, "Oh, you know what? We've got a race called the Sea Dog race every Friday night, and we've tried volunteers and we've had outside caterers, and then we've got nippers life-saving training every Sunday. Don't you want to come and like give us a food offering?" So I went from making bacon and egg rolls to making chicken burgers, Prego burgers, steak burgers, bunny chows, everything for Friday nights. The coffees didn't do too well. The guys prefer a beer when they get off the water on a Friday night. And then also for Sundays, the nipper training. So I went literally, the two sites are 150 meters from each other on Fish Hoek Beach. So I've got like two premier sites on the beach.
Sure.
And very captive audiences, So then I started seeing a pattern. So I take existing clubs or buildings and I uplift the offering. But then Valleyland had never really had just a dedicated coffee and pastry shop. So we started doing donuts and cronuts and chocolate croissants and custard croissants and crunchies. But we just started doing very delicious fresh pastries. And my son is at school with one of the owners of Valleyland, so our boys, they're still at school together right now.
Right.
So I went to Mark and I said, "Mark, do you have a site?" And he said, "No, we're full up." And I've always just thought of, there's got to be a different way. So I said, "Well, what about a little pop-up? Give me 2 parking bays. We'll bring in a little trailer.
Brilliant. And
we'll start a pop-up, No contracts, no lots of city council approvals or anything. Obviously, we had to do the health and safety and the cleanliness certificates, all that kind of stuff, but no architectural stuff, anything." He said, "Go for it." So we bought a little trailer, put in a counter, and that was it. That was literally it. And
amazing.
So yeah, that's grown. And then I've got another pop-up shop at Weinberg Boys High School.
Okay.
Serving the parents, the teachers, and the kids.
Is that a trailer as well? It's like a mobile.
That is a trailer, yeah. I sell an obscene amount of hot chocolate. It's crazy, though. Boys, how much hot chocolate they can make in a day.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that's it from a site point of view, yeah.
Yeah, tell us, especially in those early days, did you still have a full-time job? How did you transition all of that? Because you started Saturdays, you were saying, but how did that all play out?
I still have a full-time job now.
Okay.
So
this is a side thing.
Well, I'm hoping to make it my main thing. But at the moment, I've heard these pearls of wisdom spoken time and time again, where they say I've heard people say, don't get caught into the corporate trap, because every year they just increase your salary enough to keep you numb and to keep you, and eventually, because on increase, you earn a decent wage. You're not an entry level person anymore. It makes it very, very difficult to exit. Petrol cards and all the cell phone allowances and all these kind of peripherals that sort of the trappings of corporate and enterprise. So so for 5 years now, been cracking at it 7 days a week. So as of yet, I haven't got enough revenue or make a gross profit or net profit to extract myself from my corporate and go full time, although that is definitely part of the dream.
To go.
Nice.
Nice.
I'm hoping that it's going to be a reality. I've had to adjust my timelines because it's just, when you plan something on paper, it's completely different when you start doing it.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's really interesting. So, let's just go back to the community a little bit. Fish Hoek, you said you love the valley, you love the community. How did they initially respond when Shorebreak first opened its doors, and did their support really play a role in your early survival?
Massive. So not just the survival, but actually the genesis. So, I mean, if it wasn't for people that I'm directly involved with and friends with, so the basis for my community is the church. And from that sort of there's the schools, then there's the volunteer parts of Fish Hoek, and getting involved in the community police forums and neighborhood watch and all that kind of stuff. But without a shadow of a doubt, the corner pillar that we've built our life on in Fish Hoek is our church community. And the amount of support, because I mean I was not then, but I wasn't a Fish Hookian. I was an outsider. Right. And when you have people that went to school here, that have been world champions in water sport here, that are known, they're like the mayors of Fish Hoek. I mean, John O'Holgate being one of them. I mean, there's just people that have been here their whole life.
Yeah.
And they can just open doors that you can't. So I will never, ever, ever underestimate the absolute power tool that community is.
Amazing.
But giving back, because before embarking on the business, I was actively involved in the community in giving. So I mean, a guy reminded me the other day. He said, "Yeah, I remember you. You're the guy that used to buy 1,000 burry rolls on the winter sports festival at Fish Hoek Primary School."
Amazing.
On a Saturday. I said, "Yeah, that would be me." So it's not just taking, giving, but very involved. Very involved.
And you're tapping into a new community now in Wynberg as well. Then I guess that's a whole nother community that you found through your son's schooling, and again, it's like this sub community of people that you're tapping into.
But once again, actively involved in his schooling, in the hockey, in the water polo. He's involved in the music department, so actively involved in there. When there's a concert and you carry microphone stands and drums back to the drum room,
Yeah, and I've seen you carry some of those at church.
And then people say, "Oh, you Zach's dad," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm Zach's dad," And the weirdest thing is, Zach's teacher, his music teacher, said to him, "Does your dad's the guy who does the coffees, eh?" And he said, yeah, he's the guy who does the coffees. And she said, "Do you know if he's got a spare trailer somewhere around?" This is now before we started at Wynberg.
Okay.
And I didn't, but Zach didn't lie. He said, "Oh, I'm sure he can make a plan."
Ah, cool.
And then, so he actually opened the door for me. My son, incredible. Zach, opened the door for me through his music teacher. And then things just grew.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, it is. I know. It's like no fancy. Well, I mean, then there was business plans and everything, but the initial introduction was all community service, sort of bi-directional flow kind of stuff,
Yeah, such cool lessons and pearls of wisdom. What are some key lessons you've learned about people and customer service in running, coffee shops and cafes?
So, a couple of things. I think 3 things. The source local, serve local. So let me just go back a bit. I'm a massive fan of people like Simon Sinek,
Mm-hmm.
and Jordan Peterson, and there's a couple of other guys that I listen to, like Mark Lencioni, and there's and one thing I learned, and I'm still learning the hard way, is that when you set yourself personal value system to source local and to serve local, it's hard because it's not how businesses scale traditionally. It's not how businesses get run traditionally.
Mm-hmm.
So when my baker is sick, because I've got a pastete de nata, that's the recipe is 300 years old.
Wow.
And it's the great granddaughter of the person that came up with the recipe in Portugal that's now in South Africa, baking these pastete de natas for me.
Wow.
I can get them anywhere, literally, but it's just, they're not the same. They're just not the same. So that's been a very, very hard lesson. And I've had to learn to be kind to myself, to say, source local where you can and where it's practical. Because now my customers are starting to expect a certain experience. So how do I keep that experience relevant across sites? Because if it's just one site, it's easy, oh no, we sold out. But when you sold out on all 4 sites and all those kind of things, it becomes difficult. So that was, be careful where you set your vision and your ethos and your goals. Because if you're serious, that's going to extract some serious effort from you. To make part of the source local is I bring kids in from the community when they're on school holiday, when they in the matric gap years or whatever, and I just put them through a training course, nothing CETA qualified or anything, but I just give them an opportunity to earn, teach them a bit of point of sale, teach them a bit of coffee, and then if they show potential, I actually use a local guy, Kuds. He's got a coffee academy, and then I push him through the coffee academy, and then they come back into the business and they help it out. So that's sort of the serving the local. So yes, I'm serving coffee, but I also want to serve locals to become economically empowered and just to have a bit of fun during the holiday and do a bit of work and learn a couple of things.
Amazing. Oh, love it.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people might see all the coffee cups, the coffee beans, but they don't see the grind. Excuse the pun. What does a typical day look like behind the scenes for you? Now, you've got the full-time job, but you've also got these businesses running.
So every year since I've started, I've had a theme for the year. So I take a certain theme and then I run with that for the year. So that's a macro view of what it looks like. So if I could, I wake up very early in the morning,
Good.
5 a.m. every morning.
Nice.
And then what I've done over the years, Sam, is I've built a really good team. I've built a phenomenal team. Open communications. I pay them well. I'm fair. You can ask them. I'm not saying this myself. I'm fair. I think everybody in the service industry, especially in hospitality, has got a little bit of Gordon Ramsay in them. So I try to keep that Gordon Ramsay under control because you're driven by passion. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of passion in it.
Yeah.
So I wake up in the morning. The night before I go to bed, I just make sure that all the stock levels are okay. I get a stock sheet daily from each of the businesses, where and I've got quite a nice e-commerce system. So where I balance the stock takes from the stores to what was sold during the day, and then I just have a look at the numbers. Over the years, I never did well at maths at school, but over the years, like I can just look at a number now and say, well, that doesn't make sense.
What's the system that you're using out of interest? The e-commerce system that you refer to?
I use Yoko. So I use Yoko, and then I use Xero as my accounting system. Nice. There's a wonderful Yoko Xero integration.
Yes.
And I've been with Yoko for a long time now, and they're bringing out called Yoko Table. which will be a full-on front-of-house restaurant ordering management system. So right now, you can't really do recipes with them. You can just do, 20 burgers in, 20 burgers out, 20 rolls in, 20 rolls out. But they're coming up with which is, I mean, it's one of the biggest expenses in the business is to run your front-of-house point-of-sale system. It's crazy because all these programs are written either in Europe or US, so they charge dollars or euro or pounds. So you've got to have good cash flow to invest in that kind of stuff from a South African point of view. Yeah. Also, Excel spreadsheets. I've got Excel spreadsheets coming out of the yin yang. We are.
Yeah, good old spreadsheet.
It is, and there's some good, some really good templates online where you can do coffee and all kinds of stuff. So, but by no means am I fluent. But I know enough when there's something wrong, then I can pick it up. So
do the spreadsheets also make the coffee? Is that how it works?
I wish. People always laugh when they come to the house and they say, "Where's the coffee?" I'm like, I've got a percolator. Like, espresso, what do you want? I'll cook you a great meal. But that's actually one thing that's still on my bucket list is to go do a week's barista training at one of the top barista schools in Cape Town, so that I can actually, I know what a great coffee looks like. I know what a great coffee tastes like. I just can't make it.
My wife always says that the greatest gift she ever gave me was a home barista course for my birthday once, and she's reaped the consequences ever since, the benefits ever since.
And what machinery do you use? I mean, what do you?
I was told on that course that the grinder is the most important part, and I actually, when we were living in Germany, I bought a grinder that hadn't been used much from was a coffee shop. I can't remember the name now, so I'm not that nerdy about it. But it's a very good grinder that's apparently very expensive normally, but I got it secondhand for like €100. And then I've just got a basic espresso machine, but yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. You're right. Grinding is the most underestimated. The yield of the grind, the size of the grind, getting there. I mean, there's I had a look at it just the other day, but there's a society in Italy that has now ratified the world standard espresso. And the world standard cappuccino, and they've put it in paper, and there's a certificate. You can go there and get it if you want.
Yeah. And it can only come out of Italy, right? That is
correct. Correct. So I bookend my mornings and my evenings with Shorebreak work.
Okay.
So pretty much from 7 to 7, I'm online. I work for a international IT company, and so I'm one of the program managers there. Okay. So spend pretty much, this is my day. Teams meetings, customer demos, like across the globe. I work across time zones, so it's, which also gives me a little bit of flexibility. But so one of my yearly goals was process. So I've actually worked everything out. So Mondays are pretty quiet because Sunday afternoons I put in quite a lot of effort and get the business ready for Mondays. And it's ironically Mondays from a revenue point of view are quite slow. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday it ticks up, and then weekends depending on the weather. So I get the business ready Mondays ready on Sunday evenings, and then Tuesdays I pay all my suppliers. So just through relationship once again and paying on time, I get like 98% of my supply invoices in my inbox on a Tuesday morning. Then Wednesday, I do my coffee orders. I've got a wonderful roaster. I mean, Sam, it's just amazing when you get the right roaster. What you can do with your coffee.
Yeah.
Since we've changed, we've been getting a lot of compliments. Thursday is dedicated to HR and wages. And then Fridays, if there's big events and everything, that's sort of stacking up the shops, making sure the stocks are there, making sure the staff are happy, checking the rosters, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So my wife Heidi is very involved. She's like a little bullet. She'll do runs for me. I call her my in case of emergency contact for Shorebreak. So I'll be on a Teams call for work, and then I'll send her a text to say this place needs that, or can you handle this or that for me? But when you spend a year on process, it starts paying off after a while. It's not, by no means is it perfect, but I'm almost at the point where 100% of my stuff gets delivered to each site. I've got an account for each site. All my invoices come in on a Tuesday morning or a Monday night. I pay wages on a Thursday. So kind of getting into a bit of a cadence with running the business, because I have to.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to, I don't get to all the stores every day. That's a big challenge for me, because I want to see my customers. I want to see how they interact. I want to just stand back and have a look, and then look at the nuances and where do you improve, because that's for me is the magic happens.
Yeah,
people don't even see, like lighting and the type of music and all those kind of things, cleanliness, like those kind of things.
Yeah, but I guess your full-time job has forced you to set these processes in place, and that's gonna be massively valuable in the long run, right? So in a way, it's a bit of a blessing in disguise. Yeah,
you're 100% correct. When Heidi said, "How can I help you?" Because I've always been like, we always joke that I'm like this V8 engine and she's the rudder and the accelerator. I just go. And the first thing she said is, when I exposed her to my online, my documents online, she said, "Wow, your processes are fantastic."
Amazing.
Coming from my wife, I'm like, okay, so I'm doing something right.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and then weekends I try to get behind the stove, serve customers, walk around, clear tables, that kind of stuff, Just, yeah.
On a personal level, how has this journey changed you? Just not just as a business person, but as a person.
It's been the most phenomenal change process, because as a person of faith who believes in Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, I've had to give some serious thought to, do I actually believe that? That everything is in his hands, that do not be anxious for anything. All those Christianese scriptures, I'm like, wow. And Sam, I struggle.
Sure.
I struggle. When
the rubber hits the road, when it becomes real.
In the space of a month, so just right now at this instance, coffee is going up 30%. Cocoa beans have gone up 30%. Sure. So that's hot chocolate and coffee, my two major big sellers. Wow. There's foot and mouth disease in South Africa. So the price of meat is just going to go through the roof, which impacts my burgers, my bacon and egg rolls, all those kind of things. The fuel increases. So, and you can't just throw that at the customers, because you'll price them out of your business. So those are the things that, don't panic. Don't panic, whereas before I would panic and I would stress, and also silence is a weapon. That's one thing that I've learned is silence is a weapon. So just digest your thoughts. I mean, if you look at my desk now, my journal, I've got a journal here that I write down things, because I reckon 80% of them will never happen. So I like to go back and see. I read something the other day where the person says, like, if you feel stressed about something, just look in your rearview mirror to see what you've already come past. Don't focus on the rearview mirror, but just acknowledge what you've come through, and what you've conquered. So, and it's also partnerships. So we had a great partnership in the business, and then that partnership fell apart. Okay.
Sure.
Every story I've ever heard about partnerships is true. So nobody, when somebody says to you, yeah, I know it's your friend, but put contracts in place because it gives people breathing room, gives you some boundaries. No, but I mean this and that and next thing. So that is something that changed me tremendously. And that's where silence is a weapon came to the forefront, because it's easy to talk nonsense about somebody else because there's confirmational bias and I was right and they were wrong, like the introspection and everything. So, and another thing is it's made me truly more aware of the community. So when I see somebody and I look at somebody, for instance, in our youth, and they might be struggling to find work, and I say, oh, come, let's make a sandwich. Let's toast some bread. Let's pour a coffee. Here's something, feel the value, the substantial buzz you get from taking like 150, 200 Rand home. Plus I make tips and I've got a uniform and, so that kind of stuff. So, but I do, to be brutally honest with you, I literally tumble between this is so good, like thank the Lord, thank everyone around me, thank my community for supporting me, to what I want to do the next hour. Like it's a whole week of rain and the prices are going up, and what am I going to do? So it's that internal battle all the time.
Sure.
And very often, I think where we now, it's Wednesday, hey? Late last week, I was thinking, do I just put this thing up for sale? Do I just say, 4 sites, here's the revenue, make me an offer? And then what happens is I go back to my founding documents and I go read some of my core values and what I want to achieve.
Wow.
And it's, yeah,
that shows you how
very, very
important,
long answer, but
how important that is as well, to do that right in the beginning, right? To put down your values, your vision, something you can always keep in front of you and remind you of what you're trying to build.
At my worst week, I've given 11 people the opportunity to earn money and feed their families, send their kids to school, do things that they normally can't.
Amazing.
At my worst week. That's the thing.
Incredible.
And I'd love to grow that. I'd love to grow that.
Amazing. Talking about growing, where do you think things might go from here in the future? Where do you see Shorebreak going?
So it's because I was relatively inexperienced. I knew people, but I didn't know food and people together. I'm a bit of a social person. So a couple of things I've learned, which were hard lessons, is sort of sites that are seasonal and schools. Your business comes to a grinding halt during the holidays. So, I mean, if you speak to any trucker, any guy who owns a trucking company, he says, if that engine's off, I'm losing money. So if that coffee machine's off, I'm losing money.
Right.
So I'd like to be more strategic in the growth area. So if I can, minimum 5 days a week, preferably 7 days a week, from a opening point of view, so I can just have this continual service track. I am very, very close to getting involved in a community upliftment project with coffee and baking at the center. So we're taking underprivileged youth. We put them through 9 months of barista training or 9 months of baking training. Then we will have an on-site shop where they can bake, barista, serve, cash up, do everything. And then Shorebreak will be the funnel where they do their sort of apprenticeship. So in 2 years, we will have a fully rounded individual to give to Seattle, to Willie's Food, to Need, to to whoever to say that this person, not only have they been through barista school, but they know customer service, they know point of sale, they understand closing and opening procedures, standard operating documents. So that for me is such a massive project. And, you know, for me to increase the funnel of people that we can push into business that can bring the money back to the community, you know. I mean,
amazing.
There's no loser there.
Incredible.
Everybody wins. Yeah.
Your heart for people is amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Just lastly, in closing, if someone out there is thinking of starting something, what advice would you give them?
I know it's so cliche, but your business plans are good. SWOT analysis are good. I mean, I studied marketing and management. I mean, I've got all that stuff, but just start. You know, find a gap to just start. And then, I mean, Matthew McConaughey, I read his autobiography. It's called Green Lights. And he's got this entire philosophy that he works with. It's like green lights, you know. So when you start and you sell one bacon and egg roll, right? That's a green light. Next week you sell 2, you know, and then know your numbers. Otherwise, you're going to have no numbers. So understand your input costs, understand your output costs, understand the difference between gross margin, net margin, cost of sale, all those wonderful things, and write them down, because in the brain they get muddled up. So, but brilliant. Also passion fades. I mean, like, I saw your passion fades very quickly, and then you've got to. I equate it to marriage, you know. My wife and I don't necessarily love each other every day, but we care for each other every day. We respect each other every day, and we will back each other up every day. Same with your business. You're not going to wake up every morning rearing to go and passionate, but you're going to have to drag yourself out of the mud sometimes and just do the hard yards, and then this too shall pass.
Amazing.
You know? Yeah.
Very, very cool. Lastly, where can listeners listening to this podcast, where can they find you? First of all, your locations, but also online. Are you on social media?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, currently Life Saving is closed. It's a winter site, a summer site only. So, but if you're taking your dogs on the beach, we're dog friendly on the beach. So Fish Hoek Beach Sports Club, Valleyland, and Wynberg Boys High, if you're ever in the area. And then we're on Facebook and Insta as at Shorebreak Cafe. And I've got a great little media team that you know them, Sam.
Yeah.
So I use them as an outsource. I pay them and everything to do my media for me. So
nice.
There's another way of sourcing local.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool.
So we're out there. Yeah, we'd love to serve you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Andre. It's been a blast having you on the podcast. And have a great stormy day.
Real privilege.